Hello, class. This presentation is put together by Russell Henderson, Beatrice Juarez, Tina Shanks, Adam Smith, and Leah Stefania. And the purpose of this study is to understand how the pandemic affected the spending habits of 25 to 35-year-olds between 2021 and 2023 in Texas, in order to help others understand why these habits evolved so dramatically during this period, and the long-term implications of these changes for businesses, policymakers, and consumers. Some variables to consider would be saving behavior, debt levels and types, work hours, and their spending patterns.
So during our literature review, we tried to see if there was any overarching themes with those variables. So some of the stuff we found in these three basic areas, one was an increase in both overall household expenditure, but also saving behavior. The increase in the household expenditure was probably due to supply chain shortages during the COVID pandemic. The increase in savings was very likely due to disposable income from government stimulus payments. They suggested in a lot of those articles that the increase in savings was probably due to people's feelings of economic uncertainty because of everything going on with COVID-19. Changes to spending priorities, non-essential things, travel, new iPads, new cars, luxury goods, all that kind of stuff. All those sectors fell in revenue, and then things like food, rent, transportation, those all increased in price during COVID. People had to set more of their money aside and weren't able to spend on non-essentials, and that continued forward after COVID. In survey studies, participants said they really had to make huge changes in their lifestyle, go above and beyond to make sure they had enough money to afford those essential expenses. Increase in hours worked. The study we chose for hours worked showed that millennials increased their average working hours by 10% per week. Some of that was picking up overtime or extra shifts at their main job, but most of it was in the gig economy. So like Uber or food delivery, or even another minor part-time job. Most people ended up either having, like I said, another job or one of those gig economy side jobs to earn extra money. So people did end up working more overall.
Changes in spending and saving habits, it's essential to discuss the research design methodology that underpins our study. To address our research question, how have people's spending and saving habits changed in response to the pandemic? We've adopted a mixed methods approach. This design integrates both quantitative and qualitative research methods, allowing us to capture a more comprehensive and nuanced understanding of the topic. The quantitative component of our study involves a cross-sectional survey administered to a random sample of 25 to 35-year-olds residing in Texas. Through the survey, we'll gather data on demographics, income, and spending patterns, as well as their savings rates, both before and after the pandemic. By applying statistical analysis, we'll be able to pinpoint significant shifts in spending and saving habits over time. Statistical analysis will enable us to identify significant differences in spending and saving habits between the two time periods. To add depth and nuance to our quantitative findings, we'll conduct in-depth interviews with 20 to 30 participants from the same demographic group, selected through purposive sampling. These semi-structured conversations will explore how participants distinguish between essential and non-essential spending, the factors that influence their financial decisions, and the emotional impact of economic uncertainty. We'll then apply thematic analysis to tease out the underlying themes and patterns that emerge from these rich qualitative data. By combining quantitative and qualitative data, we can triangulate our findings and gain a more comprehensive understanding of the research question. The qualitative data will provide context and meaning to the quantitative result, while also potentially uncovering unexpected patterns or insights that might not be apparent from quantitative analysis alone. Our mixed methods approach will yield a robust and comprehensive understanding of the changes in spending and saving habits during the pandemic. By integrating quantitative quantitative and qualitative methods will be able to identify trends, explore underlying reasons, and gain valuable insights into this complex issue.
Some of the future directions and implications and studies you can do are longitudinal studies on spending behaviors. The same group of individuals will be tracked over time, and with each successive year, enter into the age range of interest, 25 to 35 years, thereby expanding the analysis to later stages in the life cycle. You could also study the inflation and economic recovery effects and analyze how economic recovery efforts, stimulus policies, and consumer spending are intertwined in various industries, housing and entertainment. This would greatly help the policymakers and businesses understand how financial pressure weighs on young consumers' decisions. Another is of regional and cultural comparisons. Future studies could be done on the pattern of spending in the age group 25 to 35 across regions of Texas and other states to know if the trend formulated is precisely symptomatic of Texas or some widespread national cultural cause. Another avenue to explore is mental health and spending behavior. In the future, studies can be designed to employ a multi-method approach that combines spending data with interviews and surveys on how mental health and emotional well-being influence financial decision-making in the post-COVID-19 world. Technical disruption and digital spending trends, a study that focuses on how fintech, digital banking, and online shopping habits have changed traditional budgeting and spending habits, might give insight into the future of consumer markets. This could also lead to future research in tech-savvy generations. And finally, environmental and ethical consumption, knowing whether there is a movement towards sustainable consumerism and ethical consumerism among young adults in Texas could give a better view of how culture, values affect decisions on economic issues, especially global crises like climate change.
And if we were to do even more future research on this topic, we could also look for studies in the behavior of those specified individuals that include the stimulus checks, unemployment checks, and any other financial help given by the government during COVID-19. So in other words, how individuals spent that money that was given to them. We could also compare the economic changes during this period with other financial crises in the past to see what changed in both time periods. So, for example, the 2008 financial crisis, we see how the economy back then and then during the COVID-19, how it differed. We could also look further into official data in government reports provided by the Federal Reserve on their spending. And nowadays, social media is very big, so we could also look further into personal stories, social media platforms, individuals' personal experiences with their financial habits. So look up videos on YouTube, TikTok, or as they like to call story times. So I think that would definitely. And we could not have looked into any of this without all this research here. And yeah, thank you so much for your time.